Hello, I'm Tony.
I'm Louie.
And this is Talking During the Movie.
It's the Talking During the Movie podcast with your hosts, Louie Gravance and Tony Whitten.
All right, we've got an exciting one this week.
Well, we've got an exciting set piece.
I know, actually, Chad came through. I will say this, thank you.
Well, he let Chad in. What most of you don't know is that Tony has literally a museum-like room that is like temperature controlled and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like a wine fridge in there. Yeah, it's
with toys,
filtered air. There's gloves to put on so you don't put your finger oils.
You know what? Have you seen the new show about toys? The new series on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, The Toys That Made Us.
Right.
Yes.
It's a fabulous show.
Yeah, I saw the first one was the Star Wars one, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, I was going to reference it actually, but go ahead.
Yeah. And
so
they just came out with Transformers. I was a huge Transformers fan growing up, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this is, you can't tell, but this really is extremely intricate and impressive.
It's quite detailed, and this is the smaller one that I have. The big one would not fit, and so Chad tried to squeeze it in here, and it's not going to work. Go get the other
I'm
one.
amazed you let Chad touch it. But this room
we've got to give him some responsibility. Why do we pay him?
We don't. I keep telling you we don't pay him. He's an intern.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes things better. I take back. I'm going to take back some of the things I said about you.
Oh God.
So
the movie this week,
Solo, a Star Wars story. One of the few. Without John Williams.
All right, go.
Yeah.
You are much more of a Star Wars aficionado. You were much more.
This was a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah, I know.
And then my adulthood.
Well, okay, yeah, go ahead. So anyway,
I quite enjoyed it. Yes, I think they did a good job. Mm-hmm. So Rogue One had similar problems as far as they had to go in there and reshoot a few things and retool it. Wasn't quite what they were going for.
80% of this had to be reshot.
Yeah, a lot of it had to.
I would love to know what that movie looked like.
That would be interesting to go back and see, where were you going with this?
But it was comedic. We know that it was a lot more comedic.
Mm-hmm. And there were some light elements in here, but I really like what Ron Howard and the retooling had done. I think it set a nice tone, a little grittier than your classic Star Wars, not quite as warlike as, say, Rogue One, which was also really well done.
Rogue One is a better motion picture than this.
I would say that, yes. Rogue One is a little better than this.
You can say that. I think that's unequivocal.
Yes. Rogue One is the best of the recent Star Wars movies. But I would put this under that Rogue One. Yeah, I actually like this better than The Last Jedi.
You know, I liked it as well as The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
The thing is that, we got hit. Bam, 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 bam. Between the Avengers and Deadpool, and the next week this.
Yeah.
So
he's got a bullet in every chamber for this summer.
Yeah.
They've got them lined up.
That's one way to put it. Yeah. Well, they're all. First of all, I think it's a perfectly good movie.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful
and fun.
Yeah.
And all of those things. There's so much pressure on these movies to be masterpieces and instant classics.
Just make a good movie, and that's what this was.
Right.
That was money well spent. I was entertained. I wasn't this is what we were trying to go for. They introduced just enough new things. There's a couple surprises in there.
And
they didn't poop on anything that you would already accepted as canon. Yeah.
Alden
Ehrenreich. I thought he did a fine job as a young Han Solo.
Now, that they had to come in, and he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
And
everyone was finding it.
And they had an acting coach come in when they came in with Ron Howard.
Was it Harrison Ford?
No. But you know what?
You got a swagger just like that.
You make an interesting point, though, that maybe he could have aped the Harrison Ford thing a little more.
Yeah, you could see where that seed could have been planted.
In the Star Trek movies, they do a very good job of that. They've cast fresh faces that.
But it's
they do an homage to the syntax.
But it is a take on the old character.
It is a take on the old characters.
Yes, where the Vulcan is definitely very Spock, the way it was done by Leonard Nimoy.
Right.
And they've that's established its own thing.
And Bones
is especially
absolutely.
It's not a copy or an impression, but it definitely does take that Southern Doctor spin that the original Leonard McCoy did. and took a new spin on it.
I
It is
wonder.
definitely and that Kirk swagger.
Yeah.
Not quite the pause that Shatner would have done, but it does take
But
that
it's
seed.
influenced.
It does take that seed, yes, and heavily influenced. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would have liked to have seen a little more Harrison Ford influence in this. I just think it would have been fun, and I think it would have been.
I think that might have been on purpose, though. Like, don't do a Harrison Ford because
Maybe he
no
wasn't
one's going
good
to
at
buy
it.
Yeah, maybe it was attempted, and they're like, yeah, just you know what, just take the essence and do your own thing.
There's a lot of whining, you know.
Is there?
About
I've
this.
not heard. I don't really follow the social memes and medias and the interwebs.
Well, they're very upset because it did not nearly as well as they'd hoped.
Why is that a thing that we think it's going to be this and it doesn't? It still made a ton of money.
It did.
It made a ton of money.
It made $103 million in 4 days.
Why are they sneezing at that?
Well,
It's $103 million in 4 days. Let's see someone else try that.
well, because they wanted to make 150. That was the target, was 150. So it came in well short of what their dream was, their target.
I don't understand why the movie didn't do as well as we thought it was going to. It made a ton of money. That's a success by many yardsticks, I'm sure.
You know, but think of it this way. Okay, we're men that make decent livings. You know what I mean? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Decent enough, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't go hungry. I don't go cold.
Exactly. Okay.
And I'm very thankful for
All
it.
right, and we've got a movie pass and all. Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine that you're a family of four. You're a couple and you got two teenage kids who this is aimed at.
Yeah.
Who all three of these last films have been aimed at, R rating or not. They've been aimed at 13 to 20. That's who these movies are aimed at. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you got two boys, or even a boy and a girl. It doesn't matter. You got two teens.
Yeah.
All right. So you know you had to take into the Avengers. Do you realize that it is now $100 for a family of four to see a movie? It is. You know, I bought tickets for us to see this during the day, IMAX. It wasn't 3D. It was $66.
That's a lot.
Okay, so
Did you get any concessions? Popcorn, Coke, drinks? anything like
usually
that?
we do, but we didn't. It was in the middle of the day. We didn't. However, what usually we do, which would have added another $30
Right.
to it easily. Okay, now we have a movie pass, but we wanted to see it the first weekend, and we wanted to pick seats, yada yada yada. Okay, so imagine you've got a family,
Yeah.
and you're spending anywhere from $90 to $150 a pop to go to the movies, and you took them to the Avengers,
That's crazy.
and then 2 weeks later, you got to get to the Deadpool, you know, and this comes the very next week. How many middle class families have $400 in discretionary spending for movies? It's a lot.
That is a lot. Like we spent our tickets were like $11. You know, I have like a discount, but this was an evening show, but we didn't get like the super 3D. We didn't get the IMAX. We didn't get any of that stuff. This was just a regular digital projection theater.
But for most people, this is going to come real close to $20.
Well, I okay. What's your point? Where are you going? Where are you going with this, Lou?
My point
Where
is,
you're taking us?
My point is, I don't know that it's franchise fatigue. It might be franchise fatigue.
You think the whole just having movie franchises in general were burnt out on this?
Just
this
that
sequel,
every
sequel.
weekend we gotta shell out $100 to get my kid to a movie, and sometimes I'm wondering if parents with these kinds of films are not becoming the way they are with animated films, which is very, very picky. You know, very savvy.
Are they being picky about?
They
They're
are.
making a Hotel Transylvania 3.
Yeah,
Are
but-
people being that damn picky?
But you know what? They don't have to make a lot of money to anyway. We're going off. But I'm just saying that there's been a weird buzz about this movie from the beginning. There was from the first day of shooting. I guess there was friction. There was buzz about it. There was leaks and buzz about all that.
Yeah. It's been swirling.
You know,
much.
and then
Does
they
he
let
need,
the-
Does we need this movie? You know, are these directors my thing? We're going to place it with Ron Howard, whose track record as of late, the last few movies he's had haven't been huge successes.
But you know what you're going to get. He's a very competent.
yeah.
You can.
Yeah,
you know,
he's made, like it's like Spielberg and then like Ron Howard as far as like box office.
I mean,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not a.
Yeah.
Whether he's always hits the mark as far as the appetite of the audience.
Right. He knows what to do
He
behind
knows
the
how
camera.
to, right, exactly.
Yeah.
I just wonder if they panicked with what these other two guys were bringing in. I wonder if maybe they were bringing in a whole different flavor and they didn't trust it and were like, no,
Well, what strikes me as odd is that they know obviously what they want to go for. Like, this is the kind of feel we're going for, or they know when they don't see it. Why don't they plan that ahead of time? They're like, all right, these two guys who are known for, the more wacky Lego movie, is that the tone that you want to set, or have they done something? Is there something about that early meeting that said, okay, you guys can have the tone that we want, rather than having to shift gears midway through and go, whoa, we need to reshoot all of this.
Like my husband
I feel like
said,
that's somebody's job to go in and say, like, we need this, and okay, we're good from the start.
maybe this could have been their Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe this could have been, their that flavor.
Right.
I don't know. It's still fun.
Yeah, the end product is wonderful.
There's a lot of expectations. It is long. They're all long. It's one chase scene too long.
You could probably cut a little bit here and there.
Yeah. It's one,
Yeah, I didn't feel like, I never felt like it was dragging.
I was ready.
But when you were done, you're like, oh, you probably could have snipped about 5 minutes out of that.
But they can't keep knocking out 2 Star Wars movies a year. It waters down the special.
It used to be 3 years between the trilogy movies.
Well, but you know what I mean. They're just
and now even with the new trilogy, it's every 2 years, and now they've got these inserts, Rogue One, and now this one. Yeah.
So, are they going to push it too far?
I don't know. They've already commissioned like new Star Wars trilogies.
So we referenced this show, this toy show.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I just watched the episode about the Star Trek toys, and about how they just kept betting on red when it was black and black when it was red, as far as, do we aim this product line at the kids or the adult Trekkie fanboys, collectors?
Right.
And they just always went in the wrong direction of who really wanted it.
Why can't you do both? I don't understand.
Well,
Instead of making a movie for kids, why not make a movie that everyone can see?
I'm just saying,
know?
Well, because there's this responsibility they feel.
And there is some responsibility.
Well, I mean, the fan base is very, very particular and very stringent.
Yes,
in how
Star Wars and Star
tough.
Trek fans are very particular.
Right.
Yes, they can be. Yes.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Again, I feel like that's somebody's job.
Yeah, but
These are the wrong people making these decisions.
But when they make the movies, I think sometimes they're faced with the same thing: is, do we do this? Who is our core audience? Is it the fanboys who are going to be up if we get one thing wrong, or are we making this for kids? Or are we making this for families? Because the original movies were not highbrow.
No. Yeah, they were space operas. Yeah, and just that term alone tells you what exactly it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there were some interesting ideas.
Space westerns.
Space westerns, yes, but they were also based on like classic stories that have been passed down for generations. So it wasn't just schlock, which you can find pretty much any space movie made after Star Wars was lowbrow schlock. But this had an element of that ancient mysticism, the classic storytelling, the hero with 1,000 faces and all that. That's been well covered. So it wasn't just kid stuff. There was an adult theme behind it, and I think it was the combination of the two, with the laser guns and then having the mysticism and the backstories already well thought out. That combination made it good for not only the kids who saw this and went, wow, laser beams. The grown-ups went, this was an entertaining summer popcorn movie, and it was great, and I want to see more.
Not to be too heady, though, this franchise, in a weird way, has always, in some way, mirrored what's going on with our society in a weird way.
I feel like most movies do. It's a reflection of the time that it's made.
Yes.
Even if it's a period piece, it is still a reflection of when it was made.
But these films, also, I think, when the struggles that they illustrate in the chapters are often signs of the times or mirrors of the same kinds of, whether we're fighting the man or whether we're fighting, the rebellion is trying to, it relates in a.
Yeah, I think like the original trilogies, the line between good and evil was much more clear cut. Where here, it's blurred a little bit. Like the good people aren't necessarily the bad people aren't,
Even our acceptance of something like the Force, which now is just something that I think is taken as part of the lexicon of Americana. We all know what that is. But the idea that there was this non-religion thing that kept us all together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sort of came at us at the right time too, in the mid '70s, when people were open to that kind of idea, and now it's a part of our consciousness. This is not that important a movie.
No, this is
Keep pointing to this like it's the movie.
Solo is definitely a one-off where I don't expect a sequel to this.
Well, it's acting
Because
like it's going to give you a sequel, which is
we saw the sequel.
presumptuous. It's
The
acting
sequel
like
is the movie that came out originally.
it's acting like it's going to give you another one of these. Don't you think?
There might be something else in there, but it doesn't necessarily be Solo 2, the continuing story of Han Solo. I don't need that.
No, you don't need. No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't need that.
Now, if there's a great story to tell, you better make it a good story.
Because I'm telling you, people,
Because the fans put the pressure
you
on
push this genre too hard. I keep trying to tell anyone under 40, and they don't believe me.
it. Yeah.
You know that when it's over, it happens
Yeah, but they're looking
like a
at
thief in the night.
they're looking at their 19 Marvel films and going, "We've made $80 billion."
You know what? And
And it's the same people. Or at least the office is next door to those people.
in 1940, they probably made 50 successful movie musicals.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, they made 3.
How many Western shows were on in the 50s and 60s?
That's what I'm trying to say.
There was 20 of them.
And all of a sudden, there's a tipping point, and when that tipping
How many Western
point
shows are on
happens-
now? Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And nobody believes.
I'm waiting for the reality shows to be done.
Well,
Dear God.
they will. But it's also going to happen with this whole comic book thing. There's going to be,
Oh yeah, it's going to be a point where it just goes down, and you'll be lucky if you have one in the decade.
you know, it'll be
it's
like
not that far off.
musicals.
It's not that far off.
There'll be a couple a year, and to get one made, it'll have to be good. I mean, and you know, there won't be that many made, but because like musicals now, not very many are made. But when one hits,
There's the push to find the
they're
next one.
still ridiculously popular. If you
Yeah.
can get one that's why everybody try, or people
Yeah.
still try.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Mamma Mia is one of the most profitable motion pictures in history.
So
So,
making another one.
okay, but I'm just saying, they don't make a lot of these things.
Yeah.
You know, and
So
someday
you think this is contributing to the burnout? It's going to.
I do.
It's gonna balloon up into a red dwarf and then collapse into or a red giant and collapse into a white dwarf.
I
For all you science nerds out there.
think you'll be surprised at how tastes can change. There's a snap in consciousness.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, we're done with that.
Ask
And
Julie Andrews.
the green light people will move on. But to me, a good story is a good story.
There was a documentary about Julie Andrews' career once, where and her husband, who was alive at the time, was talking about
Tangent.
it is a tangent, but as far as how she was so successful, and then all of a sudden, just was in all these bombs, and they was trying to explain that tastes changed overnight from let's go see The Sound of Music to let's go see Bonnie and Clyde. Bam! And the idea of somebody in a cape, you know, is bam. It's just going to happen.
Right.
Don't you believe?
I believe that, absolutely, yeah. I think there's going to be at some point where it's like, all right, what else have you got? Or someone's going to make a hit movie that's in some completely different genre.
When people like my friend Kristen go, well, I mean, they're just making excellent movies. And I'm trying to say, it doesn't matter. Vincent Minnelli was still making wonderful musicals in the mid-50s, and no one cared anymore.
Right.
George Lucas knew to back the freak off.
Backed off for a long time.
For a decade or so.
But then the product that came out afterwards.
Well, anyway.
So waited too long.
I think
And now he's not even in control of the new movies coming out.
you can take your kids to this. You can feel completely safe.
Well, not the little wee ones. It still is a wars movie. So
Yeah, but in a very TV
it's-
way.
yeah.
You know.
was this PG or PG-13?
I-
Was it 13?
It could have been PG-13.
I want to say 13. So parental discretion.
There's no blood.
Not really. No.
I mean, there's no
But
real
it's
blood.
a Star Wars movie, so there's blasters, there's fighting, there's people getting shot. It's
a
standard Star
cartoon.
Wars fare, a live action cartoon.
Right.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what these superhero
You
movies
could
are.
take a 10-year-old to this movie.
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
worry
I remember
it.
seeing Star Wars when I was a little kid. Again, that was PG.
Right.
It was a different time, but there were people being shot and things blown up and stuff. And it didn't scar me for life. I'm not going out and committing crimes.
But I just think, as full disclosure, we should make it clear that there are other people that are having a hard time with this as it fits into the liturgy.
Really? I thought it was fine. Like I said,
There's
you didn't have to
a
poop on
lot,
anything that had
you
already
know,
been
you
done.
Fanboys just bitch and bitch and
Well,
bitch.
everyone's gonna bitch. It's a good movie. Someone's going to bitch about something.
Okay, exactly what just happened there in the last 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You capsulized, I think, the general sentiment about it.
Yeah.
Right there. It was all right there.
Yeah. It
Which is
doesn't-
like, it's not the greatest movie, but it's a really good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Shut
It's
up.
entertainment.
Back off.
Yeah,
If
what
you want to
difference does
see
it
it, go
make?
buy the ticket. If you don't, just shut up and let us enjoy it. That's kind of the thing. And it's...
Rant, but you know, that's your opinion. I've got my opinion. You've got yours. You know, it's a good movie.
I just wanted to acknowledge that, you know...
There is, well, you know, the social media thing. There's a lot of ranting. There was that whole DC conspiracy that, you know, Marvel was making all this money, but the DC movies were coming out, and people thought like it's a conspiracy to you know, some sort of rivalry between the Marvel and the DC movies. I'm like, no, DC wasn't making good movies. You start making decent movies, people will spend those $400 and take their kids to go see them.
They don't know how to put sex in these movies.
They're not about sex.
Okay, neither are the Indiana
Deadpool's
Jones
not going
movies.
to take his shirt off in this movie. All right?
No, what I'm
That's
saying
not what it's about.
No, but they have
They
a
put Princess Leia in a bikini in one movie, and that's about as sexy as it got, but it was also very sexist.
But I'm saying in the relationships, you know, the male female relationships, they're usually very cardboardy. That's all I'm saying.
That's not what this is about.
Okay.
You want to make a Star Wars movie? You make the pitch and like it's like Star Wars, but with more sex. Put some butts in the seats. You know what I'm saying? This genre ain't gonna last forever. Pretty soon, someone's gonna make, you know, some independent western with babies. That's a musical, and then suddenly that's gonna be the thing that everyone goes sees.
That's what the movie SOB is about.
So-
have you ever seen the movie SOB?
I've heard of it. It's the Julie Andrews one.
Okay, and
Rick Edwards, yeah.
the thing of the movie is that they're making this movie and it's expensive. She sings Polly Waddle Doodle. It's a horrible film, and then they just make her show her breasts, and it's a huge hit. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you what you're saying in all satire, there is a grain of truth to what you're saying. Somebody will, you know, to sell tickets to one of these, they will eventually have to.
Oh, I think
stoop.
if they're making these 100 years from now, yeah, there's probably going to be nudity because the cinema taste has changed. People have moved on or whatever, and people won't even blink twice at that point. Probably.
Okay, I didn't cry, but do you know what the most romantic? And this is not a spoiler because you know this is going to happen. I mean, I'm just.
Are you going to spoil another thing? What's going on here? What? Okay, go ahead. What do
We know that it's Han Solo.
Yes.
We know he's going to see the Falcon, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. So I'm not
Yeah.
spoiling anything.
No, it's in the trailer.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying that's a very emotional piece when he's sort of seeing the Falcon for the first
Yeah,
time, and
yeah.
that to me was.
There's a lot of winks and nods like that to the fans that are, you know, like they know this is a big moment because this sets up a lot of other stuff.
But to me, that was the most emotionally charged moment of the whole movie. Was
Yeah.
like.
There's a part where like characters start becoming who we know them to be, and then they like that like the Star Wars cue theme. Da-da-da-da, you know, they know like this is the moment. that's going to
Lando is
make it.
pansexual.
Yeah, I thought he was a Hufflepuff. Yellow in the black scarf.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you know, loyal. You know, and then like by Empire Strikes Back, he's Slytherin. You know, and then by the Return of the Jedi, he's Gryffindor.
Wow,
went through the
you are
whole-
such a nerd. My God, it's a good thing you already have a really hot girlfriend. Because, my God,
What?
I don't know how I would get you married off, man.
People love nerds.
Well, actually, more now than ever before.
Yeah.
But like, and you know what? In the straight world, gay nerds are having a rough time right
Oh,
now.
I'm
they're
sorry.
alone. They
I'm
really. Oh,
sorry.
I know some gay nerds that are just it's
Oh.
them and comic books and you know it's yeah.
Is it because it's a smaller gene pool, so you just simply don't have the
I
choice?
really
What is it? I don't know.
do not have the socio. I don't know.
Well, nerds need love too. Gay nerds.
Oh, I
need
know,
love
and
too.
I'm just
I mean,
saying
what's the best for them?
that nerds like baldness are okay in the straight world.
Okay. What if you were a gay bald nerd?
You better be heavy too, because then you can be a bear, and then there's a place for you.
I learn so much every time I talk to you. I learn so much.
And as I,
Yes.
And so anyway, this is,
So many tangents.
what are you looking forward to coming up next?
Oh gosh, there's
What are we going to be beat with next?
Oh,
I know. We're both looking
what?
forward to the same movie.
What?
In fact, it's the movie I'm looking forward to the most all summer.
All summer? What's the big next
The
one?
Incredibles 2.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, I just became the nerd
Yeah, a little bit.
for a second.
A little bit.
I
What
gained-
else is
I
coming
gained
out? There's
nerd.
another one coming out in June.
Oh, they're going to be coming out Fast and
I-
Furious, man, and not
No,
even
not another Fast and Furious
No, not
one.
this
Dear
summer.
God.
Next summer.
Speaking of franchise,
Next summer,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to get Mamma Mia 2
I'm not
with Cher.
looking forward to that.
That's the best kind, little girl. Cher.
Like, is Cher that much older than?
Cher. It's fantastic.
Is she that much older than Meryl Streep? Can't be that much.
No.
No, and she's supposed to be grandma. I'm like,
so.
Did she have her when she was 9?
Grandma, you weren't invited. That's the best
Well, in the
kind of
original,
party, little girl.
anyway, we'll discuss it if we get to that. But
It's going to be huge, I think.
Mamma Mia 2.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't put that on my movie fantasy league.
And you know what I'm just not into?
wouldn't put that on.
I don't really give a rat's behind. I've cleaned up my language so much.
Thank you.
About the Jurassic Park movie.
Oh yeah, that's coming out too.
Meh.
I'm not that excited.
Meh.
It looks like it's all visuals,
Meh.
but it looks very similar to
Just go on the
Lost
ride.
World.
Just go on the ride.
It looks like very similar to the second movie that came out originally. And that was a Spielberg movie.
Uh.
We'll see. All right, well, thank you for listening. I'm Tony.
I'm Louie.
And this has been
Talking
During the Movie. I think about 25% of that was solo.
Well,
We should just call this episode Tangent and a little bit of solo.
which really does there need to be that much said about it? You know what? It's sort of like Mrs. Knott's fried chicken dinner. You either like it or you don't. You know what I mean? In other words, okay, here's a better example. It's like
You know you're going to order it. Whether
it's
you
like
like it or
Jello
not.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You know what you're gonna get. You know you're gonna. You know what I mean. You know you know it's not going to be gourmet, but you know what it's gonna be.
You're going to enjoy it.
and you're gonna like it.
Okay.
It's like In and Out.
Okay. Oh, I do love a good ending.
Okay, see that what just happened there? It's like that.
Okay.
Now, certainly that's not the finest meal that you'll ever get.
Right.
But look what.
But
it did
when
to
you're
you.
hungry
Look at
for
the
it-
emotional.
But when you're
connection
hungry for
you
In and
have.
Out, nothing hits the spot like that In and Out.
And there you go.
There you
see
go.
there. That's
That's this movie.
This is a lesson in branding.
That's this movie.